What's up, y'all? Welcome to Diabetes 101. My name is Is Ka Ptah, and I will be going over what is diabetes. But before I get into that, I want to tell you guys a little bit about me. I was type 2 diabetic. My sister was type 2 diabetic. My father was type 2 diabetic. And my grandmother was type 2 diabetic. My sister is no longer type 2 diabetic because she went from type 2 to type 1, back to type 2, and now she's no longer diabetic. I'm no longer diabetic. And my grandmother and my father, they moved on to the next realm. So technically, they no longer diabetic as well. As far as education, who I am, I'm a holistic practitioner. Well, what is a holistic practitioner? A holistic practitioner is someone who takes the approach in healing the body, not just from a physical perspective, but also an emotional perspective and a spiritual perspective. Because all three components can show signs of a disease. So you take someone like diabetes. When you look at the physical, it's the high sugar. You look at the emotional part, it's attached to the emotional love. You look at the spiritual part, it's like feeling stuck, not able to move in your space, in your purpose. You can't move in your purpose. So when you're dealing with someone that's dealing with diabetes, you need to address all three, the physical, emotional, and spiritual, to be able to reverse and get the body back in balance. Because that's what it's all about, is getting the body back in balance. I'm also a certified nutritionist. I'm a nutritionist of science, and hopefully in the near future, I'll have my PhD in microbiology. So that's just a little bit about me. And like I said, I've been doing this now for about 9 years, almost a decade. So I've been in the field. I helped a lot of people, helped myself. So I'm not speaking of something where I'm just read from a textbook and stuff like that. This is actually, I walk this walk and talk this talk, as they say. So what is diabetes? Diabetes, you have, most common is type 1, type 2, but it can go all the way up to type 7. And how they characterize it by, they look at the body and where it's showing a chronic, which organ is being affected by it. That is how they will say which type you're at. So, but the main two focus is type 1 and type 2. So those will be the main two we're going to talk about. So type 1 diabetes is when you have high glucose, aka sugar, inside your bloodstream, but little or to none insulin. Type 2 diabetes is high glucose in your bloodstream and also high insulin. Now, why is this a problem? Insulin is a hormone that is secreted by your pancreas. Your pancreas secretes a couple hormones and also enzymes. But the two main hormones it secretes is insulin and glucagon. Insulin works like a key. It attaches to glucose that's inside your cell, and it drives it inside your bloodstream, and it drives it to a cell, and it opens up, and the cells open up, and the glucose goes in. Once it goes in, it will team up with oxygen. And from there, it make a conversion, and this is where you get your energy from. Just to make this very simple, this is where you get your energy from. Now, what happened when you have, for whatever reason, the cell could become insulin resistant. When it becomes insulin resistant, it won't open up. When it don't open up, now you're going to have high levels of insulin and glucose inside your system, but you're still eating. So every time you eat and the body sends a signal that you're eating and it breaks it down, it's going to tell the pancreas to release more insulin. So as you just keep releasing more and more and more insulin, the problem, you will burn out your cells, because inside your pancreas, the cell that secretes, they make the insulin, is called beta cells. These beta cells is what are responsible for secreting. And if you overstimulate your pancreas to overstimulate the beta cell to secrete insulin, you will burn them out. Once you burn them out, they cannot secrete. So now you go from type 2 diabetic to type 1 diabetes. So now what happened is you have to go get to the doctor, and they're going to put you on medication. The main medication most people get put on is metformin. Metformin works, it does three different things inside the body. It retards the digestive system. It blocks communication between the pancreas and the liver, because when I told you the main two hormones the pancreas secretes are insulin and glucagon. Well, glucagon, it tells the liver to convert more stored carbohydrates, fats, or protein into carbohydrates, into glucose, so that you can have energy, so you can keep moving what you need to do. This is why when people do fasting, like, after a couple of days, after 124 hours, the body recognizes you're not eating. So then you're going to go through a shift. You're going to feel all funny. You start getting a headache right here. That's low blood sugar. What's going to happen now? The body realizes you're not eating, so it's not taking in. So now it's going to start dipping into its reserves, and this is where your pancreas is going to send the hormone glucagon to your liver until to create more glucose. And this is why you see someone that's fasting, their sugar levels will drop and then they go back up. And this is then once it start breaking down, using all the stored glucose, this is why they gain weight the first, and then all of a sudden they start losing weight. Or they wait to stay the same. Then probably about day 4, day 5, day 6, they start losing weight. When they start losing weight, now their body is using up all this stored fat. So usually it takes you, depends on your size, before it starts dumping into the protein. And that's where you have to be kind of careful at, because you don't want to use up too much of your stored protein, because the body needs that to help it repair itself and to maintain your daily life. What you need to know about this part, when you're on metformin and it blocks that communication between glucagon and the glucagon talking to the liver, now your sugar level drop, but it don't send a signal to tell the liver to convert more stored carbohydrates, fats, or protein. So now you got to go eat some candy, drink a soda to build it back up. The other thing that metformin does, it goes to your muscle and it try to influence your muscle to open up. That's not be insulin resistant. Your muscle cells not to be insulin resistant, but to become insulin sensitive and open up and allow the insulin to bring the glucose in to lower the levels. But the thing is, your muscles, if you eat a lot of food, a lot of processed food that have a lot of, chemicals and stuff like that, what's going to happen is going to create fat cells to store it in. So if you're not being very active, you're going to gain weight. That's just how it is, because you're constantly eating. So this is why, one of the things that they tell you, hear some people say, oh, diabetes is not a sugar disease, it's a fat disease. Well, two things is true. It is a fat disease, but it's also a sugar disease, because what happened is what we call triglyceride and saturated and unsaturated, all that is fat, and it's inside your arteries and stuff. And when the food get broken down, it goes, the chemicals and stuff goes inside your bloodstream. These fat cells will latch onto it and hold it to either get rid of it or to store it. That's what it does. So if you're not eating enough, it's going to break it down. So this is why, so you have a lot of fat cells inside your arteries, and you start working out a lot. You sweating, you burning, you changing what you're eating. You're not eating heavy foods no more. Well, what happened is now you're not taking in a lot, and you're going to start burning through your reserve, and this will cause it to weight loss. So people who eating at a desk, you have a higher chance of becoming diabetes if you're not very active. People who have jobs where they're sitting around a lot, not being very active, and you're eating a lot, out of processed foods. And today's world, everything is processed except for raw fruits and vegetables. And depends on where you buy it from, what number, that could be processed as well. So just know all the packaging food is all processed. And we know in this society, especially in the West, we eat a lot of heavy processed food. Heavy. So it has chemicals and everything else that these fats is going to latch on. And this is why a lot of people gain weight. Stress is also, when you're stressing, what happened is the liver will shut down. The pancreas is going to secrete insulin, which is basically you can overburn it out, just like eating the wrong food, because the liver now is going to go into stress mode and it's going to start converting a lot of the stored carbohydrates, the stored fats, the stored protein, turn them into cortisol. That's basically another form of glucose. So they can go inside your cell to give you energy to get out of what they call flight or fight mode. The sympathetic nervous system mode. That's what you in. So now your body still, even though you might not be eating nothing because you're stressing, but your body's still producing all this sugar. And if you stay in stress too long, you're going to burn out those beta cells and you go from type 2 to type 1. And a lot of times we miss the signals. This is why a lot of children, they get 15, 16 years old and all of a sudden they cannot hold their urine. They start having tingling in their fingertips and stuff like that because now they went from type 2 and didn't know it to type 1. They no longer is producing the insulin for their cells to open up to get rid of the sugar. And now they got to start getting these insulin shots. So now when you're looking at the insulin shots, that's another drug, how they came up, the first part of insulin they was using, they was getting insulin from the pig and the cow, which is not good, plus it's expensive. And they stopped there probably like around 1980, somewhere around 78, 80, somewhere around there. And they started experimenting with bacteria like E. coli. And what they did was they eat this bacteria, it will secrete almost like bacteria having sex. I don't know if you guys are you guys familiar with, it's called the Assyrian drama. And the Assyrian drama talks about how the virgin birth and how a Tsar who was supposed to cut up, it's a mythological story, who was cut up in a bunch of pieces and his wife Aset put him back together. And the penis, what they call an obelisk, was erect. And she turned into like a bird and flew over it and got impregnated. What they are basically doing, imitating, is how bacteria mate with each other. And when as scientists, we seen in the laboratory how this process happened. What they did, they came up with a tool that can open up the phlegm that one bacteria inserts into another bacteria. And they opened up this. And what they did was they took the human genetics, and put inside that phlegm. And then they also took an antibiotic and put inside there, and then it got inserted into another bacteria. Now, all the cells that was affected with the human genetic and the antibiotics, those survived. All the ones that didn't get affected, they died. And from the ones that survived, they started secreting insulin. So they did this on a massive scale, and they took that information, they took that insulin and basically mass production of it. And this is how, today insulin is made. It came from bacteria, E. coli bacteria, stuff like that. So, and that is how, it's basically working. So when a person is on diabetes, what you need to know about, the body works in two phases. It works either on digestive or metabolized side. Diabetes, the disease diabetes, is on the metabolized side. Now, if you stay in the disease too long, it can cross back over to the digestive side. Just like you have a digestive disease start at the digestive side and then cross over into the metabolized side. So these are just the basic understanding how the body works. What's up, y'all? So, if you want to get the full video of where I talk about the full whatever organ system is on the body and how to correct it, dealing with foods, herbs, and things like that, you want to go to my Patreon. That's where you want to be at. That's going to give you the full length. It's going to give you everything you need to know. So all you got to do is go to Romeliteherbs, just like you see on the screen, Romeliteherbs on IG or TikTok. Go to IG, go here, link tree is up. Tap Patreon. Now, you see at tiers. First tier is CNA. That will be your longer IG videos types. So it'll be more information than what you get on IG, just a little bit longer. But then you go down to the nurse. Your nurse is the one where you get a lot of your information. You get the herbs or the foods to help reverse whatever you have going on that we're talking about. That's the nice one right there. You get the full shebang bang. And then for the bonus, you had the doctor. The doctor one, you get everything you get with the nurse, plus you will get access to a webinar once a month, and plus a Q&A. So you have more access to me to be able to go one-on-one with me. And if you know me, to really have a one-on-one with me, my consultations cost a lot more than what the doctor part is charging you. So you get a lot of bang for this, and it's teaching you. So you can be able to take care of your family, your loved ones, your friends. So when they get something, if it's fibroids, if it's a prostate, if it's colon cancer, if it's breast cancer, if it's diabetes, if it's indigestion issues, digestion issues, hair loss issues, STDs, you would know how to point them in the right direction on how to correct whatever it is going on inside the body. Because everything that goes on inside the body can be reversed. Just remember that. So if you go on the site right now, you'll see we have diabetes on the site. We already talked about diabetes. We talked about understanding the language of your body, different parts. You get a headache in different parts of your body, the head, different parts of the head, what's going on, what your body is telling to you. We talked about food combinations, how to combine your foods in the right combination. We talked about the lymphatic system, aka the immune system. So we got some videos up there for you guys already, and a lot more to come. This is just the start.